The boy that was in the incident positively identified you as the person that stabbed him and his grandma.
This is the exact moment 30-year-old Christopher Ramos realized he was in serious trouble, and the catalyst, a 911 call made by a woman named Amanda Gibson.
What happened, bud? Let me see. Oh my God.
What's the problem?
My 6-year-old son and my mother just got stabbed. And hers is kind of close to her heart, right in her chest.
Were they on the street or something? Somebody
Yes.
come up and stabbed them?
Yes, they was helping this guy look for a drone thing outside, and they just come running up, and they both got stabbed.
I've had some past stuff with, asking underage kids to see their underwear.
This is when Christopher learns that one of his victims is in fact still alive. This survivor was the very same person who identified him as the perpetrator of a heinous crime. A crime that unfolded far closer to home than anyone could have ever imagined. From here, we see Christopher sitting in the interrogation room, masking his motives under a facade of innocence.
I said, I know we've talked on the phone, and I know you came down here and talked to Detective Chapman before. So I've got some new information I'd like to share with you. But like I said, I obviously have to read your rights now.
If you guys would have had more questions, I would have came right back down.
Okay. Well, like I said, we're going to...
This warrant just got me fired from my job.
Well, I will explain to you. It's with a K, right?
The day is August 6, 2016, the night after Candy Arthurs, a mother and grandmother, succumbed to her injuries after weeks being in a coma. But this nightmare had started months prior on what would otherwise have been an ordinary day for anyone else.
When you came down here before and you talked to Detective Chapman, and you told him that that you were in the alley there where this incident occurred. You put yourself there at the same time the incident occurred. Okay, we put your photo in a couple photo arrays, and this is what's led us to that. I've had people pick you out of the array. I've had people point you and say, I think it's him, but I don't want to incriminate someone because I'm not 100% sure. The little boy that was in the incident positively identified you as the person that stabbed him and his grandma.
Okay, that switches up from what the other detective said, because...
What did he tell you?
He said the girl and the mom got stabbed.
Well, it was a little boy that got stabbed. He came out later. He wasn't, because initially he wasn't involved in it. The reason why he was involved in it because the grandma had been stabbed. But like I said, the little boy positively identified you as the person that stabbed him, and his grandma as the person and you as being the person that stabbed his grandma.
On June 23, 2016, an ordinary evening for Candy Arthurs and her 6-year-old grandson Jeremy Mullins turned into a tragedy when Christopher Ramos arrived at their door. Disguising himself as a man in distress, he preyed on their kindness and then stabbed Candy Arthurs, sending her into a coma, and ultimately lost her life to her injuries 2 months later.
I just wanted to, the way he describes it, from talking to you, I can't fathom why you would do. I mean, from what he says is, he was helping you find your drone, which is what you admitted that you were in that thing doing. That you all of a sudden just pulled a knife out, turned and stabbed his grandma, and then stabbed him. And the grandma pushed you and ran. Now, the other thing is that right before the grandma passed out, she said, one of our officers that first was on scene said, "Who did this to you?" And she said, "The bald white guy that lives on Wayne that was looking for his drone." And then she passed out.
Just like I asked the other detective, why would I have somebody help me as long as they help me, and then I told him exactly where I lived, and then turn around and stab him.
Okay, so why would this 7-year-old pick you? I mean, literally, I have an array of 6 white guys that are bald, and he went right and said, "That's the guy that stabbed me." What would it?
Probably because I was the last. I was with them.
Right, but and again, you put yourself in the area. I mean, at the time of the incident, at the exact same spot this lady got stabbed. Another lady, when you ran around the corner, and this is what the lady said, she heard the grandma and the kids, they thought they were playing. Mm-hmm. She said they started running, and she said the next thing you know, here pops out a male white around the corner, looked at her for a quick second, and then took off. She said she saw you for like 5 seconds, said she's never seen you before. She picked you out of the photo array. The only problem is once she picked you, she says, she goes, "That's him right there." When they passed her the thing to sign it, she circled somebody else and said, "I think it's that guy." I don't know if she just doesn't want to be involved. I don't know. But, I mean, like you said, I've had 4 people pick you.
Christopher puts on a convincing act, and his expressions of disbelief could possibly fool anyone, but his actions won't. Claiming he was simply looking for his drone, Christopher strolled through the neighborhood, completely unaware that his suspicious behavior had already raised alarms.
We went back and talked to a bunch of neighbors. I mean, we
went door to door for almost an hour.
No, this is earlier in the day. We talked to people earlier in the day, said you were out saying you had lost your drone. They said you were out there about an hour or so before the incident even occurred. That you were going around up and down the street, grabbing every house that went to, there were kids there. That's how we found you. Because everyone's saying that everyone said that every house that we went to said there was. So why would the grandma, as she's laying there, say the guy that stabbed me is the white bald guy that lives on the Wayne that we were helping him with the drone? I mean, why would she say that too?
I don't know. I was the last person with them.
Right.
That I know of.
Right. Before
this incident happened.
I'm
not a stabber. I don't beat people up. I don't do none of that. Yeah, I've had some past stuff with, asking underage kids to see their underwear.
Right there on the corner of that alley, on the other side of that fence, they said there was absolutely no gunshots, no loud bangs, no nothing. All they heard was the grandma go, and then push the kids and run, and then you pop around the corner, and then you take off running.
A point to be noted here is that Christopher says that he isn't a stabber. He is a chill dude who occasionally asks kids to show him their underwear. Candy, who offered to help him along with her grandson to look for Christopher's drone, were completely oblivious of the danger that lurked within the person standing right next to them. But he still has no clue that the woman he stabbed has met a terrible and permanent fate.
Did you ask the grandma and the kids? Because they even said it to me. Because when we first started looking for it...
Well, the grandmas never woke up. And that's part of the reason why you're here now, because you haven't been charged with felonious assault. The grandma died this morning. So you've been charged with murder.
Okay.
And that is going to be her dying declaration. That will go into court as saying, this is the guy that stabbed me. It's called a dying declaration. And you're going to have a dying declaration. You're going to have the mom of the grandma, the daughter of the grandma, and the mom of the little boy, who is the one that said, "That's him. I think that's him, but he was the one that was walking with my kids earlier." And then now he said, then you have the little boy who was scared to death to go home that said, "You're the one that stabbed him." And you're going to go to court. And yet all these people that said that, hey, you know what? I have a 2-year-old, I have a 4-year-old, I have a 7-year-old, I have a 6-year-old, I have all, and every single one of them, you were going up to their house asking for help finding your drone.
Earlier that day?
Various times. like a couple hours before.
I don't believe that.
But I'm telling you, I've got a list of people that we went and talked to. I have a guy that's...
I went to every house that I seen an adult out on, either on their porch or in their yard. Or if I went up to a house where I didn't see anybody but I wanted to look in their backyard, I knocked on their door.
Surely this man had some hidden intentions. Why would a 30-year-old man be roaming a neighborhood full of underage kids looking for his sketchy drone? These claims are riddled with red flags and do not make any sense whatsoever. And it only gets worse.
Is this what people do now? They tell people where they live, let them help them for an hour, half an hour, 45 minutes, however long it was, and then stab them.
Again, I don't... You know what? I've heard some crazy, crazy things. And that's why I have you here, to find out what your side of the story is.
I already told Detective Chapman my side of the story. Something I didn't do.
Okay.
Was I in the area? Yes.
Why didn't you come down and take the polygraph?
Because it's not admissible in court.
Go against the little boy and the grandma and what they're saying without any other evidence pointing us in different directions.
Okay, and Detective Chapman said you guys had video.
There's no video.
So you lied about that. So how can...
Well, there's cameras back there. We thought there was video. There's a camera right there in the thing, but the cameras aren't real. We thought we had video. Trust me, I wish I had the video.
And then he said that it was a mom and daughter.
Again, Chapman came in after the fact. I called Chapman up and I briefly explained to him what happened. He was only even out there was because in case she died. She didn't die, so I was off. So I just said, "Hey, if he comes down, will you please talk to him?" He was like, "Okay." He didn't know much about what was going on.
So wouldn't it have been better to wait until you got back and then tell me to come back then, when the person that's actually dealing with it has all the information?
Well, he would be the one. Well, he is the one dealing with it now because she died. So like I said, you've been charged with murder, so it's a homicide, and now he's the one handling it.
So I think on the 20th or 21st, the warrant came out.
She was still alive. She literally died last night. I charged you with felonious assault. I was giving you an opportunity to come down and talk. Do your polygraph.
Well,
and I filed the warrants, and then her sister called me, or her daughter called me at 2:00 this morning. They dismissed those, and he charged you with murder.
Christopher isn't just a liar. He is a performer, constantly spinning stories and inserting trivial details to make his lies believable. But the detectives were a step ahead, already reaching out to those closest to him.
The thing is, too, is that, was it Jeremiah? Mm-hmm. When I talked to him, I called him and I said, "Hey," because you said you went right over to his house. I called him and I said, "Hey," is that what you told Chapman? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I called him and I said, "Hey, when was the last time you saw Chris?" He's like, and it's recorded. He's like, "I don't know, a couple days ago." I'm like, "You sure?" "Yeah." Well, oh, no. He spent the night here last night, all night.
There's plenty of witnesses, including my roommate.
Well, the thing is that
verify that I went there that night.
I understand that he did. I'm not disputing that, but it's kind of like he didn't want to be involved in it, but then he realized that if he said no, I don't know his meaning, but
he don't want to be involved in it, and I'm not going to bring him involved in it.
Well, the thing is that if he knows something, and he can be charged out of this too.
He don't know nothing. He knows that I stayed at his house that night. He knows what I'm being accused of.
Okay.
And I've purposely kept him out of it for that reason.
Okay. Well, just like you said, it was just, it was just odd that he hadn't seen you in 2 or 3 days, and all of a sudden he remembered that he had. She died right there because she went into surgery. They had to pump a ton of blood into her. It fried her brain. and she was pretty much brain. I would say she had very, very little brain function.
And you think I'll do that to somebody?
Buddy, I don't know you, and let me tell you something.
I mean, you know my record.
Buddy, I don't know. Okay, that's what I said. Things happen.
I'm not gonna stab somebody. And I gave you guys my knife. I gave you my drone.
Well, that knife wasn't the one that was used.
That's the only one I carry. The only one I have.
No, like I said, I mean, it's just with a little boy picking you and saying that's the man that stabbed me, and the grandma saying this is the guy that stabbed me, and now she's dead. Like I said, her statement will be admissible in court. I mean,
so when this court process goes through, and I mean, I'm hoping I beat it. What are you guys gonna do then? Waste 2, 3, 4 months by looking at me when there's somebody else out there that did it?
Well, right now, I have 2 people saying you're the one that did it.
Because I was with them for 45 minutes.
And you were cooperative, but not cooperative at the same time.
When?
Well, you come down here and you said you put yourself there. I mean, that's the other thing, too. You put yourself at the scene at the time of the incident. The immediate time, the exact time they were stabbed, you said you were in the alley with them. Because literally, she ran. They said they were looking for a drone. She was stabbed. She ran home for help. And you said, I was there. I was in the alley with them. I didn't see anybody else in the alley. When did you leave them?
I didn't say that.
When did you leave them?
I don't remember the exact time. I told Detective Chapman.
Yeah, that you were with them, you heard gunshots, and you ran.
No. We had parted ways before I heard that. And I heard a commotion. It's dark. I'm on the west side. I took off running.
The gunshots he mentioned are as hypothetical as his innocence. He will have a hard time explaining it in the court, and he, of course, won't beat it.
I mean, and I told him, you will see me on audio running from that area.
I mean, he saw your picture, and he didn't want to go home until you were caught. His parents thought that we had caught you. When I told them that I'd filed charges on you, they thought that he was caught. And he said, hey, he's in jail. That's the only way he would go home. And when they found out that you weren't in jail, they didn't tell him because he wouldn't go. He was staying clear on the other side of town, would not go home because he was scared to death because he was afraid you were going to come back and do something to him. And if you didn't do it, you didn't do it. But man, like I said, it doesn't look good.
Well, probably 90 days.
90 days what?
That's how long the court process takes. Yeah, but I'm been cooperative. I'm not a flight risk.
That's up to the judge. I don't deal with bonds. I just write it up. And I said they're going to bring the little boy in. They're going to have the officer that the Miss Arthurs made a statement to. Candy Arthurs was her name.
And that's another thing. And I asked Detective Chapman this, why would one, aside from the fact that these people went out of their way and helped me, I've never seen these people before.
Right.
What do I have against them to stab them?
I don't know. And again, I guarantee you, if you're not the one that did it, I don't want to be here talking to you. But I can't go. Well, we can't go. Detective Chapman's the one. Like I said, he got rid of my warrants and filed this one.
And when was this one filed?
This morning. She died this morning. literally this morning. And I said, when you have the little boy who, you're right, doesn't have, he has no reason to say you stabbed him. What is he to gain out of it? Don't you think that he would want, if you're not the person that stabbed his grandma or him, don't you think that he would say, you know what, guys, I want the guy that stabbed me in jail. I want the guy who murdered my grandmother in jail. Why would he just say, you know what, I think I'm just going to settle for the guy that we were helping with his drone?
Okay,
I mean, you're asking me to make sense of what you're saying. Make sense of that for me. Why? What do they have to gain? A woman who thinks she's dying, what does she have to gain by saying, hey, I'm just going to blame this guy that I don't know, that we were just helping? I have no reason to, but you know what? The guy who killed me, or the guy who just stabbed me, I don't know if they'll ever find him, so let's just blame this guy. Why would she do that?
I've watched enough videos to see things happen quick.
TV,
YouTube, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had literally just left them, walked up the alley towards my house. I heard the commotion. I heard screaming. I took off running. I can assume logically, and gun, whatever they're called, shootouts, whatever.
Well, I don't say.
I'm just using this as an example. Things happen quick.
Mm-hmm.
You got to react quick. And I'm thinking the incident happened so quick that nobody's seen anybody. And the little boy's saying me because I was the last person with them that he remembers.
Now, I think that he would say, we were helping this guy with a drone and then somebody stabbed me because he left us and I don't know who stabbed me. Check with this guy because he might have seen the guy.
Sensing the gravity of his situation, Christopher tries to reason with the detectives, creating a tense dynamic between his persistent denials and their unwavering psychological pressure. In his delusional world, he is being very cooperative, but the reality is rarely what people believe it to be, especially for someone far gone as Christopher.
I've been attacked, and I've defended myself. But I've never instigated and started anything. Asked me to come in.
Because we don't...
Or even let me know, hey, you got a warrant, you need to turn yourself in.
Because again, people run. Now, whether we know that you would do that or not, I don't know you.
I've been cooperative this whole time.
Well,
I just lost my job because I had detectives and police come to my job and arrest me.
Every house that had a camera and asked, the one are fake, another one fake, another one not hooked up. Trust me, I walked that alley twice. We walked down the other alley. We walked probably 3-block radius. Every alley, because we knew you ran that way, just like you said, just like everybody else said. And we checked for every camera that we could find that would show us who this guy was.
And conveniently for you guys, none of them worked.
How's it convenient for me? Dude, I would love for those cameras to work, but here's the thing. It's not like we put out, like there are cameras, and we just go, yeah, they don't work. Those are citizens' cameras. We cannot make people have cameras. For real, they would either say, you're the one that did it, or you're not the one that did it. And because I don't have those cameras, I have a little boy that said you did, and I have a grandma who's now dead said you did.
None of this makes sense. I mean, I know the cameras that were there.
Where?
All over. I didn't know they were fake.
Okay, but
I didn't know that they didn't work.
Okay, but let me ask you a question. Why is that my fault?
It's not.
Why is it convenient for me that those cameras don't work?
Because now you guys can't get me out of the way. I'm smart enough not to stab somebody on a camera. Whether I knew they worked, I didn't.
It is a point of contention whether Christopher already knew the cameras were fake and is now using that knowledge to defend himself. But now, an interesting plot twist emerges regarding the drone that had started all of this in the first place.
Out of the street, but it's like 2 streets away, 2 blocks that way. He said you were going up to him, you came up to him asking, hey, have you seen my drone? He said, where'd you last see it? He goes, over on Wayne someplace. And he's like, dude, Wayne's like, he said you said the 200 numbers of Wayne. And he's
Yeah.
Yeah, well, dude, he was like at the 100 numbers of 2 streets away. And he told you, dude, Wayne's like way over there. Your drone wouldn't be anywhere around here if you lost the 200 numbers of Wayne.
That drone's got a pretty far radius, and I lost signal.
Okay, but
Going.
here's
Like,
how
my house is here. I lost the signal over here.
do you have cameras on that thing?
No, I took them off.
Okay, so how is it that you're gonna fly that drone up in the air at night and you
It
can't?
wasn't dark at that time.
Well, it was right around. Well, okay, whatever. But
And that's why I got the colored blades that I got on it, so I can see it when it's up there. My blades show me which direction it's going, and they're red and blue. Who can't see red and blue?
I mean, so
I purposely put them on for that reason.
Here,
I can see
here's a
it
good question.
At a distance.
So when you're with them in the alley, okay, and you heard a noise, and you ran, okay. So what happened then?
I went towards Steele and up towards my house.
Okay, you ran back towards your house. Okay, then went home. Then what'd you do?
I went inside, started hearing sirens, came out on my front porch, sat on my front steps. My partner kept calling. I waited another 10 minutes, and I went to his house.
You changed your clothes? When did you find your drone between running from the noise, being at your house, being at your boyfriend's house, coming home, going to work, eating dinner, didn't go back out walking around, and then brought your drone in and gave it to Detective Shepard? When did you find your drone?
I've already answered that question.
Well, tell me, because I didn't hear it.
It's on audio. You guys are going to try to pin this on me.
No, I'm asking you. Why? Where did you find it? When did you find
I
it?
answered that question. And what you're trying to do now is catch me up in a lie. I've already answered the question. It's on recorded tape.
Well, I haven't listened.
It is not the detective who is trying to catch him in a lie, rather our protagonist himself who is inching toward his own grave, with every little inconsistency digging the hole deeper and deeper.
The whole tape. I'm asking you, since you're being cooperative and you say you didn't do it, when did you find your drone?
When I separated from him.
So you've been out there looking for your drone all that time, and it just happened as soon as you left them, moments before she got stabbed, you found your drone.
We looked everywhere.
Where was your drone at?
In the alley.
What alley?
Right in front of our face. None of the 4 of us found it.
Okay, so when you left them, how far down was your drone?
About a half a block.
Did you
Or
just
half a alley. Like, it was literally, like, if this is the alley, we separated here, it was right in here. And I picked it up, I reset it, I was getting ready to fly it when I heard the commotion. I grabbed it and took off running.
you didn't yell, "Hey, I found my drone"? Or you just had the whole neighborhood out looking for your drone?
I just heard a commotion and yelling and screaming. My first priority was to get safe.
Okay, and you're right. And you know the thing is that in that little bit of time, somebody just walked up to them, stabbed them both, and their number one priority was to run home and get safe. And the first person they say that stabbed them was you. Not, hey, I don't know who did it. I'm just telling you right now, it doesn't look good.
It don't. And Detective Chapman told me that before all this new information. And I know it don't look good because I'm at the scene. I was with the people.
And they said you're the one that did it.
I don't stab people.
Well,
I don't kill people. I don't.
Well, unfortunately, right now, like I said, they're saying you did. I've got a 7-year-old boy that says you did it. I have a dead woman that said you did it. That's the reason why you've been charged with murder. Yeah. My new boss told me that if I took the polygraph, I need to show him a letter that says that I have this letter and that I could come down and take the test. And I said, okay. And I was on my way home that same day. Like literally 6 hours later, I called you and said, hey, they just called me. They had a cancellation. They get you in at 1. And what did you say?
He won't let me leave.
No, that's not what you said. You said, I'm on vacation. I decided to go out of town. So at midnight when I'm talking to you, there's no talk about you going out of town. Just all of a sudden, and I said, well, hey, you said it's 9 hours away. And I said, well, that means that you would have had to have left right then, and you weren't even there yet. Because clearly, if it's 9 hours away, I talked to you 6 hours later. Well, I asked you, I said, hey, can you come back and take this test? They can fit you in at 1. You said, no, I'll call you when I get back. Then I called you later on, and after you told me, he said I can get the day off, or I can get the time off as long as I have that letter. And you said, my boss told me that if I took any time off in the first 2 weeks, I'd be fired. Guess what? I just talked to him. I said, hey, did he ever ask you about polygraph? He went, no. I don't know anything about polygraph. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I told him, he said that you told him that if he had this thing, he said, he never asked me about a polygraph or anything.
That's bullshit.
Well, I'm just saying.
Amos clearly didn't think the cops would bother verifying his story. Imagine committing a crime, lying about it, and then having your own boss rat you out. Lying might seem par for the course if you're a murderer, but getting exposed this way and so blatantly brings a whole new level of irony.
A little boy not wanting to go home because he thinks you're going to come back and kill him.
Because I'm just the evil person that goes around and randomly stabs random people.
Again, I don't know anything about you, okay? Literally, as she's been, you know how hard it is for me to talk to that family? Every day I call me. I'd call them, hey, check up on your how's your mom doing? Come on. And the doctors are saying, dude, she's not going to live. She's going to die. If she does live, she is going to be a vegetable for the rest of her life. And then last night, her daughter called me distraught and said, excuse me, I just want to let you know my mom died this morning. We just got the call. And that's why I came looking for you today. SWAT's been looking for you. Stabbed him they were helping him look for his drone. You said, yeah, I was in that alley moments that it happened. I mean, if you were in my shoes, what would you do? What would you do? Would you charge him? Would you? Or would you say, nah, you know what? This guy didn't look like the type of guy to stab anybody. I can't charge him. Even though you got a little boy saying, that's the guy who did it, and a grandma saying that's the guy that did it. What would you do? Tell me, what would you do?
I'd probably arrest him.
I think it was June 23rd. I think that's the day. I don't have my file right here. It's over a month ago. She died a month ago. It was just a matter of time before it got taken out of my hands. And again, this is your chance.
Christopher was a registered sex offender and had traits of pedophilia. According to some police reports, he might have tried to kidnap the grandson, and Candy tried to stop him, as that's when he stabbed her. As the investigation deepened, the infamous drone came into focus. Police believed it contained disturbing content such as explicit videos and images of children, and with that, his obsession with finding it made horrifying sense.
I mean, I can't. How convince me why I wouldn't think that you're the one that did it?
I mean, I can't.
Right. So the next question to me is why would this man do this? Only you know. You're the only one that was there other than those two little kids. And like I said,
We're talking about a family that
that helps you, I know. Again, I don't know. But you know what?
like
it happens.
we laughed, we cracked jokes, and
It happens.
I just gonna pull out a knife on him and stab him.
I don't know why. If it happened, only you know the reason. If it happened, you're the only one that knows the reason why. And that's why I brought you down here. Is so if you did it, you could explain to me, explain to everyone what happened, why this happened. If you didn't do it, that's your defense. I didn't do it. I'm not going to try and trick you into saying anything. I know you are.
Allow you guys to find the person who actually did it, which they're probably long gone by now.
Christopher, listen, I'm not looking any further. You're the person that did this. You're the one that did it, man. I mean, you can sit here and tell yourself and try and convince yourself and try and convince me. You know, you're saying that I'm trying to trick you to say, dude, I'm not trying. You're trying to convince me that you didn't do it. And everything points that you did. Everything points to you believe you did. They're the ones that said you did it. And again, one of them's dead. And if you want to go, if you end up being convicted and you did it, you're the one that's going to have to live with that for the rest of your life. Of not saying this is why it happened or whatever. That's it. I'm not going to be the one that's going to be sitting at home right through her left chamber of her heart and severed the artery. The doctor said the knife had to have been at least that long.
It wasn't me. I don't carry that knife.
She says you did. And as that knife's going in, she's staring at you going, what the? And when that knife came out, it then went into a little boy. And they both said, this is the guy that did it. And again, you're the one that's going to have to live with that.
Because I know I'm innocent. I've been cooperative
Yeah,
with
but that would
you
make you look guilty. You know what? Hey, I know there's no cameras, or I know the cameras probably didn't catch me. The lady got stabbed. I'm done. I mean, like I said, you've been charged with murder. You'll be arraigned tomorrow morning. No, actually, you'll be arraigned tomorrow morning. And like I said, then you'll probably you'll get charged with other charges when you get indicted. It'll be more than just one.
What do you mean more than just one?
What happens is Detective Chapman charged with murder. I believe that's the only thing he's charged with. I don't think they're going to go low. But once they charge you with that one charge, it goes to a grand jury, and the grand jury hears all the facts, and you can get charged with murder, felonious assault, all that stuff.
And just like that, Christopher's fragile web of lies came crashing down, bringing his life as he knew it to an end. A confession might have spared him some time and trouble, but he clearly wasn't one for making smart decisions. On December 27, 2017, Christopher Ramos was sentenced to death for the stabbing of 48-year-old Candy Arthurs after pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter. Although he claimed not to remember the incident, his lawyer argued that he might have an underlying mental illness. This story is a stark reminder of how a seemingly ordinary life can turn upside down by just one encounter of a man. Candy Arthurs was a grandmother of two, and her daughter Amanda Gibson loved her dearly. Little Jeremy Mullins would be forever haunted by the memory and will live on to grieve the loss of his beloved grandmother. As we reach the conclusion, we are left with questions to ponder. We teach our children to stay away from strangers, but how many adults truly follow the advice themselves? If a stranger were to knock on your door tomorrow asking for help, would you extend kindness or think of Candy Arthurs and shut the door? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We look forward to hearing from you. For more gripping content like this, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel